Today began at 6 a.m. Mike and I followed a friend we met last night, a young fisherman, who offered to take us to his honey hole here on the river to fish for salmon. Now, he wanted to take us there because we told him what we were up to, trying to find some bears to film with fishermen for this project. And he said he sees a lot of bears at this spot along the river. So we hiked in with him this morning, about a couple of miles in, and near the end there was this steep slope down to the river, about 150 yards long. It was quite wet, kind of treacherous with rocks and water. We made it down to the river, and then we watched him fish and waited to see if a bear would come along as they traveled this riverbank looking for salmon carcasses to scavenge. And we didn't see a bear for a couple of hours, but our friend caught a beautiful sockeye salmon. But then, about an hour after that, we looked up, and down the river, here comes a brown bear approaching us. So we had time to set up, and Michael got some great footage of the fisherman with the brown bear coming up the river toward him. When it got about 40 yards away, the bear, being a bit shy because there's a group of us there, 3 of us, crossed the river and went up the far bank. So check that off, success. We got the video this morning, and we decided to pack up and head down the river instead of going back up the treacherous bank in hopes of seeing more bears. And our friend said it was a fairly easy hike. We did find another bear about a quarter of a mile down. We were able to get round 2 of footage, which was great. The hike, not so easy. We followed the river course along for a couple of miles, and it felt like 10 miles. That's what my legs are telling me right now. It was a really difficult hike because of all the ups and downs along the shoreline that we had to do over these rocks, roots, packed wet ground. Everything was wet, so therefore very slippery. And so with the camera gear, we really had to take our time, as well as wading into the water at times too on the rocks. So it took probably, it took a solid hour and a half probably to walk out. But something I appreciated on this walk, or taught myself to do, was about every 150 yards to stop, take a minute, and get my bearings, because it was that slippery that if I just kept going, it became more and more fatigued. I was sure I was going to fall, and there were so many sharp rocks, jagged edges. Didn't want to get injured or damage any equipment that way too. So learned that along the trip. But it was a very successful and fun morning, a big adventure, and a good workout.